Hey, Kip, how the heck you doing today, man?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Man, I'm so stoked that you're here. I got a lot of questions I want to ask. I want to talk about, your companies you got kicking these days, but I kind of want to start, like I do with most of my guests back at the beginning. Why don't you tell a little bit of, your history, where you kind of grew up and, some of the things that, we're going to talk a little bit about the outdoors. So maybe kind of how you got involved with your love for the outdoors and, we'll just kind of thread the needle from there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think a lot of people got the outdoors from their family. And so the family and the background kind of they're always intermixed. But my dad was a Marine. We bounced around. So we lived a lot of places overseas, a lot of states. I mean, Rhode Island and Northern Virginia, Hawaii, Bermuda. Like we lived in some cool spots. But my dad was from Great Falls, Montana, and he grew up in the backcountry. So as a military man, anytime we had that like family vacation, it was to the backcountry. It was whether it was close or whether we had to drive. He just kind of pulled the family. I think it was his safety spot. Like it was where he kind of went to kind of hone in and maybe heal. He's a Vietnam vet. So we just ended up kind of the family was always trying to find ways to be outdoors. It's funny because you look at it in your teenage years and you kind of bitched and moaned and you got dragged around a little bit. But now I'm doing the same thing, just trying to find my way back to the outdoors. So, um, yeah, no, had a mom that died early from ovarian cancer. She was only 55. I'm 56, or she was 56. I'm 52. Got my ages all mixed up. Um, my dad's still around, but it was a military family. I mean, through and through, living in crappy housing on base.
Well, then at some point in time, you started to find a love in sports as well as your, kind of your background in, the outdoors and hiking and getting out there and kind of enjoying that. But you really took to lacrosse. Why don't you tell me about when you picked that up and like when that really got serious? Because obviously you
Yeah.
had a lot of success in that arena as well.
I love the sport. I look at myself through two sports lenses. We all have that like glory days, like, oh yeah, I was really good at X. It's surfing and lacrosse. I was not nearly as good at surfing as I was, but I did it for a long time. We got stationed at the Pentagon in Northern Virginia, and that kind of is like close to Baltimore, and there's a mecca of lacrosse in Long Island and Baltimore. So I ended up graduating high school. I played a little bit, and then I went to Essex Community College and I played lacrosse. And then I went to University of Maryland and played lacrosse. But I didn't really grow up playing lacrosse. So I tried it a little bit in seventh grade. Then we moved, and then really I got big into it at the end of my junior year and senior year in high school. I just fell in love with it. But sports in general was like the outlet because I sucked at school. And so like I got a lot of positive reinforcement, teachers, coaches, parents, family, friends, oh, going to watch me play. I didn't get a lot of positive reinforcement because Kip came home with good grades. So that's all I wanted to do was play sports. Cause it's like Pavlov's dogs, like you go where you get the reward. So that's a little bit of the lacrosse. And I coach my son's team. I'm still in the lacrosse community, not playing obviously, but I wish I could. Love the game. Fast, aggressive. It's a fun, and I played professional for about 9 years. So that was a blast.
Well, when you were playing there, I think it was at the Baltimore Thunder at the time, you ended up meeting up with, Kevin Plank, who was the creator and founder originally of Under Armour.
Yep.
And, why don't you tell that story about how you kind of tried on that shirt that kind of changed your life from that point forward for
Yeah, it's
multiple
kind of
decades?
wild. Yeah, tight fitting t-shirt. We were both University of Maryland grads in our fifth year. We done playing sports, but we have one more year to graduate, kind of typical college athlete back then. Um, I was playing pro lacrosse and someone introduced me, my buddy JB introduced me to Kevin. It was like, hey, maybe you can help him out, this, that, and the other. And I went to P Street in Georgetown, right outside, right in Washington, D.C., and met him. And he gave me a shirt and I wore it in practice that night. And I went back the very next day. I was like, dude, how do I get involved? And so it kind of went from there. And it literally was like working in his grandmother's basement, stinky, mildewy, boxes with mold on it. And then we kind of got some shit together and we ended up moving to a facility in Baltimore. And I will say for the first, 20 years, really 17 to years of just fucking growth. Every damn year. Oh my God, we need more. Oh, we need to make this. And I naturally was in operations, and he's a really amazing salesperson and marketer. But if later in my career, I ended up becoming the CMO and the COO, Chief Operating Officer and Chief Marketing Officer. So I got a lot of exposure to a lot of different stuff. So yeah, it was like really this crazy ride. I can't explain it. It's hard. Like people are listening and they're like, oh yeah, I've heard the story. Maybe I know this, that, and the other. And it's like the devil's always in the detail.
Right.
The shit that we did to get things done. I want to write a book. Maybe a movie comes out, but the story is an American story. It wasn't all me. There's a ton of great people that were involved. But, like, I'm not going to lie. Like, yeah, it was it was me and him. Like, that's how we started. So, like, there is no one really trumps that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's transferred in. I think like the idea of like teamwork and being a part of a team. That's something that you really took importance of when you were in lacrosse. And I know you had a conversation with your coach, kind of pulled your side, and you realized like, okay, there was a moment where you realized to not just be yourself, be bigger, be part of something big. And you've done that, and that's translated into multiple facets in your life, whether that's through Bushwhack Outdoors right now, whether that's through Big Truck, and obviously working with Origin and different things. And I want to dive into all that, but I kind of wanted to, there was a needle that I wanted to thread there with the idea of whenever you decided to kind of bring in the hunting and the outdoors and that lifestyle through Under Armour and your connections there with like Jim Shockey and Cameron Haynes and some that have resonated and rippled throughout your life from that. I wanted to talk about like that idea. Was that something that you were involved in hunting a lot in that aspect, and you kind of wanted to kind of bring that together more through Under Armour? You saw that as a vision of something that, hey, high performance outerwear and, in the outdoors. Like, what was it that kind of shifted there that you felt that was an importance? And then I'd love to kind of hear about, how that was with like, obviously you're, into archery, into bow hunting, and when did that kind of come in? Were those all fused at the same time? And if you can kind of, just walk us down that road a little bit.
Yeah, I think the first thing you touched on, which is the teamwork and about building something that's bigger than you. There's a healthy balance of like having a strong ego to like prove that you're the shit, and also being a part of a team and being humble enough to like take a back seat sometimes, but also step in and lead. And that is not something that came natural to me. So I had to learn. And, but when you're at a place like Under Armour that is going to grow with or without you, you kind of learn how to kind of start thinking bigger. And it is a balance of ego and being humble. And I know a lot of people struggle with that, especially like, hey, let's start a podcast. Like, well, you got to have an ego. Like, I want to prove myself. I got to get out there. I want to tell stories. I want people to watch what I'm doing. I want to change lives. But at the same time, you got to find ways to stay humble and stay connected to be a part of something bigger. When it comes to the outdoors, the second part of that is like, I got really frustrated with the machine that became an organization at Under Armour. And yeah, I probably burned myself out a little bit. I was traveling to Asia, Central and South America. I opened up 300 factories around the world. I'm running product and innovation, and we're just grinding it out. And we were delivering products to sporting goods stores for typical training, basketball, football, lacrosse, women's. And those weren't really my passions. And because I was burning the candle at both ends, I just went to my partner and was like, I can't do it anymore. I want my own division. And I want it to be Under Armour Outdoors. And it was skiing, snowboarding, hunting, fishing, camping. And I wanted it all. And I wanted marketing, I wanted product, I wanted sales, I want everything. It was a little company within a company. And I would say for about 5 or 6 years, it ran like that. And we went from 30 million to about 300. And so we killed it. And we became this little shining star of better product, better fabrics, better ideas, better marketing. I shouldn't say that. There was amazing things going on at the big brand, but we shook the boat and we grew, and they gave me an opportunity to do that for the whole company. And so I kind of lost my way a little bit and then kind of came back to the mothership, if you know what I mean. But from the beginning, I was bow hunting. I've been a hunter my whole life. My dad was into upland and a lot of fly fishing. And I, right in college, was really into big game, started bow hunting. Yeah, and of course, when I started the outdoor division, then I met Cam and Shockey, and we sponsored Remy Warren, and we sponsored Rihanna, and we had all these athletes and Michael Waddell, and I was the guy like doing it all and trying to make shit happen. And so a lot of that friendship is lasted. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about, honestly. The industry didn't have performance apparel when I launched that division.
Right.
And you look at some amazing brands now, Origin, Sitka, QU, First Light, so on and so on, Stone Glacier. I mean, people making really great stuff, like all of them making great stuff. Obviously, Origin making it here in the United States, and some of them, using the global supply chain. But that none of that was there when I started Under Armour Outdoors. The most prevalent camouflage shirt was cotton,
which we all know is not the most ideal, and especially these wet environments. I mean, yeah, it's the old school, man.
Yeah, it tells you people were tough. It tells you we're soft. We have like all these layers, and everybody now there's like people that like do whole podcasts on what layers should you wear. And at the end of the day, wear wool and bring a lot of it, and you'll be fine. And
Yep.
I always tell people that, like, get out there and figure it out. Obviously, you can get yourself in some real danger if you're not careful. But yeah, so that's the story. I mean, I don't know if it's interesting to people. I don't really talk about it much, George. I don't really care. It's like very rarely do I sit around and be like, oh, remember when we did this? And like, it's not, honestly, I get irritated. I like talking about it with podcasts because people, it's good listening. But like if it's small talk at like a dad's soccer party, dude, I'm out.
Well, and I totally understand that. It's like, okay, you can't rest on your laurels. What you've done is in the past, and you've had some great success. And I think the part of it that I wanted to bring in is that there is the connectors, right? Like you ended up going out and doing a hunt up at Jim Shockey's area where he's outfitting. And then, so, maybe that was something that kind of sparked an interest in that, now with Bushwhack. And then obviously you met Cam and you've gone on these hunts. And then, there's a lot of times that I think that those things maybe have come back around. And that's where I wanted to talk about
I follow my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people need to listen to their heart. And I will say, I'm 52. I'm being a little bit more thoughtful. Younger years, not necessarily. I was just charging hard. But even in the younger years, like, and this is part of being high functioning ADHD, I cannot do things that I don't like. So I do a lot of shit that I really like. So I follow my heart. And that's a little bit of the shiny gift with attention deficit, is like, I just can't do things that I don't like. And other people do it for years. Oh, I hate my job, or, it's like, and I feel for those people and I hope they can make their way through it. But like, you have a short time on earth. I think there's probably energy that lasts for a lifetime, but our lifetime on earth is right here, right now. Man, just don't put up with schmucks and don't put up with shit you don't love.
Yeah, no, well said. Well, so let's talk about that. Like, what are your passions right now? Obviously, let's talk about like the big truck, as far as like when you started that out, I'm going to grow hops. And then years later, you're like, I'm going to open this brewery. And then, obviously you have, hundreds and hundreds of clients. You're going through all sorts of states. And talk to me about that idea. I mean, and then the idea too that like you're earning a beer. The idea. It's not like it's something that at the end of the day, out for outdoors people are working hard, and I just love that idea too. It's something like you're earning right at the end of the day. So if you would maybe talk about that and just kind of how that got started, and where this land came from that you ended up purchasing, and maybe just walk me through that process a little bit.
Well, I've always had a little bit of a fetish for land, and it stemmed from we went public in 2005. November of 2005, Under Armour went public. And so I was a public officer at a public company for a long time. Well, what happens is you get these shares, and are they worth something? Are they not? When can you sell them? What price? And it was a little out of my wheelhouse. But on paper, I had a good bit of money, and I was terrified that I would wake up and lose it all one day. So I bought land. And to this day, it's still the best thing I could ever done. But I was actually nervous about like doing things with it. So it's tangible. I could use it. I could understand it. And so I bought land. And so then I kept working and kept grinding. And then when I started to decide to leave Under Armour, I had these farms in Maryland. And I was like, I really like technology and I like farming. So I kind of merged brewing and growing hops. And now we actually don't grow hops, we grow grain. So we use all our own grain. We've transitioned out of hops because in the Northeast, we have downy mildew and wet mornings and it kills them, which I wish I would have known. But a lot of trial and error. But I merged those two ideas together, and then Big Truck erupted through this idea that I wanted to farm. And yeah, I don't drink a lot. I don't think people should. I have no problem cracking a beer after splitting wood all day, though. Or like on an elk hunt, especially if I kill. I mean, come on, a cold beer. Like my dad grew up drinking, Bud Light and Coors Light and popping it at the end of the day after he changed the oil on the truck. It is nostalgic to me. I think having a few drinks, entertaining yourself, connecting with people, and really being thoughtful about how you do that. And so we just don't promote binge drinking and hardcore partying. Now I get it. People do what they do and we sell beer, and I'm sure people get drunk as shit off of it, and that's fine. That's their life, not mine. But it's a category that I always was enamored with, beer.
Yeah.
It held like this place for me. So, and we even have a non-alcoholic coming out, and we have a lemonade. It is alcoholic, but we have a lemonade coming out. So we're trying to keep up with the times. It's a tough business. It's very competitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, our statement is earn it.
Well, it sits on a property that you actually can sometimes go out there and hunt on, right? And it's like 260 acres. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
have
I
like
hunt on it all the time.
and you got an archery
a
course.
nice buck. We have an archery course. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
great.
amazing. And so you have your the tap room there, but you obviously distribute other places, and there's not in every state yet, but many states. What does that look like?
It's about 6 states. So
Okay.
Maryland, Delaware, DC, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina. So we're just slugging it out there with all the other ones. It is a very competitive market, very
Sure.
competitive.
And so with this spot there too, you have, that's the northern Baltimore County, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then is there plans for expansion? Is there another spot that you
Yeah,
guys
we're
look
actually
at?
in 2026, we're opening up a second tap room on our farm on the eastern shore of Maryland, which is about an hour and a half from here. Has 29 million people a year drive by it on their way to Ocean City, Maryland, or Rehoboth, Delaware. So it's on the way to the beach. So we're excited about opening that, but we're still in plans designing. But in 2026, we should have our second tap room. The tap rooms are very profitable because you sell beer to a customer. The distribution model is you sell beer to a distributor, and then they sell it to the store. That is very That's a challenging business model, but it's fun, man. It's a blast. And then, I went out and bought an outfitter in Alaska.
Yeah, talk to me about that. How does one buy an outfitter in Alaska? And then
Because
as
you're
far
fucking
as
crazy.
yeah,
Because you're crazy. Because you don't know what you're doing and you get yourself in trouble. And then you got to fight your way out. You say shit you shouldn't say. And now you got to back it up. And it's just like that with me my whole life. So I'm now a packer and I'm becoming a guide, and that's going to take some time, but I'm committed to it. But I partnered with Tim Winslow, who's my partner, who's an Alaskan guide. And I purchased Bushwhack Alaska. And we're revamping it, but it had a really good base. I bought a good business and very good, well run, good word of mouth, and we're just trying to make it better. Better gear, more guides so we can take more people. We're securing more area in Alaska, so we're expanding. And we're treating customers right, because I was a customer for a long time. I was the executive that didn't have a lot of time, who would book a hunt. And so I know what pisses them off. It's like, you got to have good communication. It's not about the kill. Did I kill that? Yeah, of course, everybody wants to have an enormous bear, enormous moose. But what was the adventure like? And how was everything leading up? And how was it in the field? To me, I'm excited. I mean, I hope you get up there. You're more than welcome to come. It's like, I love it, man. I'll be up there in another 3 weeks. I'll be up in Alaska for opening the lodge. And we really focus on brown bear, moose, and grizzly. And we do fishing in the summer, but we hammer the bears. We hammer the bears.
So what kind of, as far as like for people to maybe kind of get an idea of like acreage of the areas of which you hunt. And then I was curious as far as like, how does somebody, take that area? Hey, I'm going to do this and then expand. What does the systems look like in Alaska for those who like,
it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated. It's not quite like some of the Western states. Alaska is similar, but different. It does have some draw, and you can draw some tags, but we have some exclusive territory, and then we share territories with other guides. But we operate, it's almost about 1 million acres that we have at our fingertips. So it's massive, massive. You'll never explore every nook and cranny. You don't have that much time. And so you have to be a registered Alaskan guide to take people on dangerous game hunts, mainly bear. Moose, you can offer DIY. That's do it yourself. But we set you off, you do it. We can't help you.
Yeah, they can't pick up any of the meat. You guys can't do any of that.
No, it's hands off. We provide some camp and some things like that, but we're not even allowed to set up the camp. So you have these areas in Alaska that the registered guides have to have guide use areas. You're only allowed to have a certain number of them. It's not like you can just have you have to focus, and you perform your duties as a guide in those areas. And we go to all the shows and we book hunters, and we focus on a lot of bear and a lot of moose, and we have some tremendous success. But it's hunting. It's tough. And It's hunting in Alaska. And I would say the number one reason why people are not successful is they're not physically and mentally prepared. They quit early, or they can't hike that extra mile. Oh my God, we got a moose. He's over there. They're not physically and mentally capable of thriving in Alaska, not surviving, thriving.
Well, yeah, like getting out to that extra mile, that extra, little bit is what may put you in the category of success, or going home empty-handed.
You might not know what's right around the corner, but you got to go look. Right around the corner.
Well, in that mindset too, I know you used to do like 30 days of like elk hunting a year. Is Alaska getting in the way of your elk hunting? Are you still able to get out there?
No, I can't. I have to. Life is about trade-offs.
Yeah.
Right. So I've had some great elk hunting, and I'll get back to it. Mm-hmm. But for the next couple years, I've dedicated my Septembers to moose season in Alaska, and that is what I want to focus on. And so, unfortunately, moose in Alaska, September 5th, generally speaking, to the 15th or 20th, depending on some of the areas. But that's right in the heart of, elk season.
Yep.
So, especially for bow hunters. So no, but that's okay with me. That's okay. I don't even stop and think about it. Like
Yep.
like if I want to go elk hunting, I'll go elk hunting. If like I'm 52 and I'm looking at this going, okay, Kip, you got to grind this out for 10 years. You'll be a full Alaskan guide and you'll be 62 years old and you'll own your own lodge. That sounds like a good fucking retirement, George.
Yes, it does.
Sitting on
Sounds
my
really good.
porch going, I don't know, maybe I'll go shoot a grizzly today.
I'm going to catch some fish. I'll
Yeah.
just do a little surf and turf, Yeah. Sounds amazing.
So I kind of think like that. I'm odd. I think big picture, and I will admit I struggle on the details. And that's where I bring in other people to be a part of my team. I have some amazing people, Lauren Salatan, Tim Winslow, we got Junior, we got Mike, we got Nate Peterson, we got Gary, we got Nate Mativi. We have a core group of just absolute Craig. We got some great people. So it's not really about me. I know I bought it and this, that, and the other, and it I kind of own it. But actually, my job is to make them successful. That's my job. And that I want to clear roadblocks. I want to make things more efficient. I want to make them successful. That's my job.
Well, and I love when you've talked about this in the past too. It's like you're dreaming big, and it's like you said something that really resonated to me is like attaching yourself to the what if. Like, yeah, I want to go do this. I want to have this. I want to be able to retire with this. Well, what if? Well, what do you got to do to it? And then you got to put in the hard work, and then you got to build the team around you. And then when you kind of have all those things, it feels like when all the right pieces are in part, then that mechanism just continues, and then that what if becomes the dream that you're in the middle of living. Which that idea really resonated to me.
I get a little bit of pushback or maybe some converts, and I'm sure people listening to this are going to snicker and be like, "Ah, yeah, you got all kinds of money. You just bought this thing." I don't know how to say this more truthfully. If I didn't have money, I'd be doing exactly the same goddamn thing. I'd be working 4 jobs, saving money so I could buy this place.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started hunting, I didn't have any money. And I saved up all my money and I bought a brown bear trip to go to Alaska. It was $21,000. And I had no money. I did not have $21,000. And I worked 3 jobs to get it. So, yes, I have been blessed with some financial things that maybe not everybody has experienced, but I'm telling you, there's ways to solve all of these problems. There's great banks, there's second jobs, there's consulting, there's grinding it is truly grinding it. So, I'm sure there's some people that are like, oh, yeah, you spent this money and you're going to do this thing. And I'm like, I think if I had no fucking money, I've been there before. I know what it is, and I'll do it again. And I won't be as lucky as Under Armour. I'll never do that again. I'll never be able to hit that home run again. But I'm pretty confident that I've learned how to work.
Well, you can apply those things from those 2 decades plus of experience, and it wasn't like you just walked into some job and you guys got lucky and hit the lottery. It was so much work, tenacity, and really getting after that in that grind that put you to the position where you are now. So if anybody's like, poo-pooing that idea, oh yeah, he's just got this. No, you earned it. And now you're going ahead and you're building that next level of the thing that you love and your passion, something to have for your family, a legacy. And I think that's something that I think is more of the focus that I look at, is not just somebody, oh, you got money and whatever. It's what you do with your life and how you live it. And I think you you want to help other people find that success as well. And I think that's something too that, you've done with the method mindset class, and like offering some of the things that you've learned and you've experienced, and something that you can kind of parlay off to them so that they can do that too. And I also love the idea that what that is like when you don't have the money to save up to something. And that way you're going to give those people that come through Bushwhack an experience that is going to be, tailor made to their needs, to their, long lasting memories that they make. And the importance of that. So I think that's really important that you're giving back in that sense as well. So I definitely want to mention that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about the work thing. Anecdotally, we all have friends, we all have coworkers or family members. And, like, come on, man, like just have a little honest conversation with yourself. Most people leave work at 5 o'clock. Or when it's like 3:34, they're like, oh, I'm almost, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You want all these things in life and you've programmed your head to end work at 5 o'clock. I'm working 24/7.
Yep.
I'm getting up at 3 a.m, checking and sending emails to Alaska. I was just filling out a credit app for a tug and barge that has to haul my walk-in cooler from Seattle to Homer, and then Homer to Iliamna. And I'm trying to figure out the logistics. And, but I remember the days that we worked till, honestly, 12 to 1, 2 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., every goddamn day. So let's have an honest conversation about how hard people work.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't put in those hours, you're not going to have the enjoyment of the things that you want, whatever that is, whatever that end goal is.
I'm okay if you don't want to work past 4:35 and you like that checkout time and connect and do this. I totally understand it, and I'm behind you. Do not complain about the shit you don't have. That's all I'm saying. Understand the trade-off you have made and be a man about it or a woman about it, and don't complain. I cannot be around people that complain about things they chose to do. It drives me nuts, George.
Yeah.
And I'm not very nice about it. Like I was like, I'm not even going to say the guy's name because he's going to probably listen to this. Someone was talking at a kids party for my son's lacrosse team, and I just went at him. I was like, what are you fucking talking about? So I don't know. So I'll get off my high horse, but I do think the definition of work is a little bit misunderstood.
No, I agree, man. I mean, I have multiple jobs that I'm doing. I got my day job. I got, my night job, my morning job. Like, there's all the things that I'm juggling to try to, fulfill the things that I can say that I did everything I tried to do. And I wanted to do it as best I could. And, never half-ass one thing, full-ass everything, right? Like, that idea, like just putting everything out there and seeing what sparks, because one idea may not make it to the end line, but another one may, or maybe they all come together, or the networking and the people you meet might open up another door and opportunity. But if you're not out there working hard and giving it everything you got, you're not going to have that thing at the end that you're going to feel fulfilled about most of the time. Sometimes people fall into good luck,
Yeah, no, I think well said, 110%. The society is kind of like I almost classify it as like it's easy to win nowadays because the majority of people aren't willing to go. I mean, the saying is not willing to go an extra mile. I don't think they're willing to go a half a mile. And I shouldn't label everybody and make judgment, but I'm 52. I've been around. That's what I see. That's what I feel. I know there's a lot of grinders out there. I like people that work hard, and hopefully I get to spend more time with people like that. And that's why I'm like, Cam is my friend. Love, hate, like what he does. Doesn't, I mean, I'm a grown man. I don't want people telling me what to do. So stop telling him what to do. But you got to appreciate the grind.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for someone who spends so much time and energy to try to meet those goals at the end, and who's built their own success. And I kind of wanted to bring that around too, because one of the things that really resonated with me when I had podcast with Brandon Shockey, Jim Shockey's son, who is an extraordinary filmmaker and just a great human being all around. He ended up filming a hunt that you went on with Cam, and it's titled "Once We Were Wolves," and it's out there. You guys can go see it. I'll have the links in the show notes below. But why don't you talk a little bit about like what that was like for you? Because this was a time where you suggested, if I'm correct, to Cam, let's go back to Alaska. And this is his first trip back after his good friend Roy, who he'd spent so many trips to Alaska, had passed away. And I was just curious, like, what was that trip like for you? And what was it like to then be able to look back and see what Brandon had put together on film? And I was just kind of, love to get your feedback on
Yeah,
that.
no, Once We Were Wolves, man, it's great. Hopefully I'm going to film Once We Were Wolves 2 this fall. I'm trying to get Brandon back up there. But it's back to I followed my heart. And so I had this concept in my head to do something big for Cam. And I called Brandon up and I said, hey, man, I'm going to write the check. I'm going to get everybody up there and we're going to film. I don't know what it's going to take, but here's what I think could happen if everything goes right. And it didn't go right, but it ended up had all the makings for great film. And of course, being so talented, he was able to pull it all together. But yeah, I just came up with this idea to film, and that's what turned into Once We Were Wolves. But it was again followed by I had a feeling in my heart that I wanted to do something epic. And the minute I mentioned to Brandon, the minute I mentioned to Cam, there was zero, let's go. It was like no one hesitated. And of course, it being special for Cam because of Roy Roth passing away, being his best friend and almost best friend, mentor, all kinds of things that he meant to Cam. And so it was the first time he had been back to Alaska. And it was crazy. It was amazing to watch it. Honestly, when I had the idea, I would have never guessed it'd come out like that. So,
And what do you
it's
mean?
like,
What do you mean when you say that? As far as because for those who haven't watched, I want to give the spoiler, but like as far as how that hunt ended, or do you mean how the
no,
production came
just
about, or
like,
the experience?
yeah, just like all the elements that Brandon was able to catch. And you, like you can tell when someone's trying to build something up that's not there. And they're like either replaying things or they're maybe faking some scenes. It doesn't feel authentic. They're trying too hard. And you can kind of feel that when you watch some hunting shows or
Sure.
videos that they're trying too hard. Yeah, maybe we did some interviews that were a little intimate and maybe emotional, and people might not like that. And it's attached to hunting. But at the end of the day, like that is a lot of my church is being in the wilderness. Um, so it does have an emotional connection. So yeah, the elements were all there, and I could have never expected that. And of course, Brandlin, like you said, masterpiece. I don't want to make it sound like it's like, it's not as good as Godfather, but I'm just saying it's a good hunting flick.
Well,
And hunting can either go really good or really bad. That's just kind of, let's be honest. You watch some shows and you're like, okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it makes, I think the storytelling in those interviews too. I think it's really important to kind of build up the idea of like what that hunt was, and you in a weird full circle moment, like you were with Cam hunting when he found out that Roy passed,
Yeah.
and then here you are going back and you're visiting Roy's home, and it was the first time Cam went back, and it's a lot of emotion, it's a lot of feeling, it's a lot of perseverance through those things and through the adversity of just being out in the woods. I mean, it was, there was days where it was just, sheer, snow, and like y'all are kind of in the tents. Like there was a lot of things that you
There's a lot
pushed
up and
through.
down.
And
There's a lot up and down.
but I think it's great at the end of it all. Like I felt, there's a lot of heart to it, and just rawness, emotion. And there was obviously with how the hunt ended, it was different than something that Cam was kind of wanted to sit on for a little while. He didn't, it wasn't like it was done and he immediately wanted to put it out. He was not sure if he wanted to put it out based on as far as like
Yeah.
how that ending happened,
Yeah. And
which
I've
I
I've
understand.
read I've read people's comments, and like film is art, right? That's what it is. Don't make it anything more or less. It's art. You are 100% allowed to walk into an art studio and be like, I fucking hate that. Like, I don't like that. I wouldn't buy it. I don't like it. I don't want to be around it. It's
Why
not
is it
interesting.
here? Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm gone. I'm out. Or why am I sitting here? This is so effing boring. And then there's art that you see and you're like, it connects with you. And you're like, I got to buy that piece. I want to hang that in my house. Like that means something to me. It connects with something. And I think it's deep in your psyche. So let's just call it art. And you are allowed to not like it. So put it out there. I think there's something to be said for someone who knows how to say, hey, that's not for me. I'm not interested in that. And then there's just people who want to create drama by shitting on things. And, Cam gets the love and the hate. I get the love and the hate, not nearly as much as him, but at the end of the day, it's art, and like, just roll with it and be happy. If you like it, you like it. The only way to experience art is to view it.
Yeah.
So
When you're talking about doing a sequel, or the two, what is it, the idea that you have in mind for that? Is that something you'd be taking it to your area where you're outfitting, or is it something?
No, it's going to be. I would like it to be a little bit more about what it takes in the details of the hunt, where we were talking about the emotional connection and this, that, and the other. And I think I was left a little bit, and other people have an appetite for, is because not everybody gets to go grizzly or brown bear hunting. And it holds an iconic, it's a dangerous game. It's in Alaska. It can be a little pricey for some people. I saved up my money when I was 24 and went, but so I think I want to show the devil in the detail on the tenacity to execute every day to kill a bear with your bow. Because we didn't cover some of that. We just covered, we're here and it's hard and it's emotional and we're trying to find a bear. My brother shot that bear charging at a couple yards. So it ended with not the way you want to hunt bear. It's the last thing anybody wants, is that ending. So I don't actually want to film that again.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's thrilling for people to watch, but I want to show perfection, much like Cam's redemption video that he did. So yeah, maybe a little bit more details if that makes sense.
Well, and the idea of like prepping for something like that, obviously you say that the people who are coming on, a lot of the difference between success and failure there on some of these hunts is that the preparation that you put into it. I was curious, kind of, what is it that you are preparing for when you're going on one of these hunts? What are you doing to prep? And I was also kind of curious, just what's your daily routine on staying physically fit and how much, when you're physically fit, how you can take that next corner, you can take that next mile, take that next ridge. And what is your preparation, your daily schedule look like to kind of stay ready?
Well, I would never sit here and try to promote to anybody that I'm in the kind of shape as some of some of the great endurance athletes or athletes out there. I was a good athlete. I know what it takes to be an athlete, and there really is no time off. And that's the thing people need to understand. I'll ebb and flow a little bit on my fitness level, like we all can, with family and responsibility and work. But generally speaking, my fitness level's high all the time. And that's because I do it all the time. And so if you're down and you need to jump back up, then you need to get in there and you need to just start walking on a treadmill with a pack. You don't need to lift weights. You don't need to hurt yourself. You don't need to do anything. You just need to walk with a pack. And then, you got to graduate and you got to keep challenging your body. So I've actually just started a whole new routine, because I was getting in a little bit of like wonky world where like, I've done this, let's go in, I lift, I do that, blah, 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 blah. And you hit some plateaus. So right now I'm very focused on this Norwegian 4x4. And it's a Norwegian scientist's I do it 2 times a week, and then I lift hard and do other cardios the rest of the days. But twice a week, I go in to the gym. It's about 15 minutes from my house. I get on the treadmill. I put it on a 3 incline. You have to run for 5 minutes for a warm up. You have to do 80% max speed for 4 minutes. Then you walk for 3, and then you repeat that 4 times. It's called the Norwegian 4x4, and it works on VO2 max and heart health. And I will say it is fucking humbling. Humbling. I'm a couple months into it, and just starting to feel like I can get through it without throwing up.
Yeah.
But it's that variability that is just kicking my ass. And so I added that to my routine, and now I'm doing hardcore sled sprints. I think I have 185 on the sled. So I'm pushing the sled, sprinting. It's not very fast, but I'm trying. And then I'm doing box jumps. So I'm doing Norwegian 4x4, sled pushes, and box jumps. And that right there is a huge shift from what I used to do. Typical, like, let's do shoulders, let's do bench, let's do squat. More of that, what I would call very focused on Olympic lifting.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten away, and I'm all focused on functional movements and moving power, whether that's just my body weight or whether it's pushing or whether it's the variability of the treadmill. So I'm digging. I will not say it's pretty ugly. If anybody goes to the One Life gym in Hunt Valley, you see this bald guy almost throwing up. That's me. So,
well, what does it look like for your archery practice? I know you obviously that's a discipline that you are, very involved in. How often are you shooting? What does that look like, and your distances to kind of prep for some of these hunts that you're going to be going on?
yeah, I would say it's 2 to 3 times a week. I don't shoot every day. I would never lie and say I do. I have in the past when I've really gotten dialed, and I will prior to a hunting season start shooting every day. I deal with some shoulder stuff, so I need to be careful overdoing it. And I'm pulling back 80 pounds, so I've tried not to do it every day. But minimum, it's always if it's 50 and out. I don't really shoot anything else. I have an own range here. If I'm working on my bow and I think the sights are wonky, I'll shoot 20 and 30. But generally speaking, I walk right up, and my first shot is 50 and out.
And what does out go to? What are you pushing?
Yeah, we'll go out to 70, 80 yards.
Yeah.
We have 100. I don't shoot that a lot. I was for a while. That was mainly for elk hunting. For bear, it's really closer shots. And I like to shoot animals. So I'm shooting 3Ds probably 90% of the time.
And then what do you go ahead?
Your human eye connects with the shape,
Mm-hmm.
and you finally quickly find the kill spot.
And I was curious, like in your training for this, are you doing anything to where you're like moving into a position quickly and taking a shot? Are you kind of static? What does that look like as far as you preparing for those hunts?
It's not really something I've thought about, but I just do it a lot naturally in the woods. I shoot a lot from my knees.
Okay.
I find that I have a stable platform. Obviously, if you have brush and things in front of you, you're going to be standing, and I'm fine standing. But from elk hunting over the years, there's not always a lot of brush. So I have a good triangle base with my knees a little bit wide, and I find I'm much more stable on the ground. So I shoot a lot on my knees. I'll maybe occasionally peek around a corner at something, but it's usually on my knees or standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what kind of hunting are you doing aside from Alaska? Like, I know you got the place where you can go hunt some deer, right around from Big Truck.
Whitetail.
Yep.
I'm very focused on my kids.
Yeah.
So we go whitetail hunting, turkey hunting, and I did take my son elk hunting with a muzzleloader this past season in October. I will say that I'm training a lot. I am not hunting a lot.
Yeah.
If we're hunting, it's for my kids.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's anybody who has kids, there's a certain point in time. I'm taking out more new hunters, being more of that kind of mentor role. And I love it, man. I get as excited seeing someone take their first animal on one of my ranches than looking
Yeah,
back on when I
totally.
did it. I love it. I love it, especially with your own kid.
No, and we have a couple neighborhood kids that don't have parents that hunt, and I'm like, come along, try to make the parents comfortable, especially if there's firearms involved,
Sure.
and never take anybody out without asking the parent face to face. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not phone calls or text messages.
I'll
It's
get it signed.
yeah, I'm taking your son out with a gun. Um, but yeah, no, I think there's a lot of training. I would like to hunt a little bit more, so I'm trying to balance that out. But I would say the last couple of years, it's been focused on the kids.
Yeah, understandable. So, when we were talking a little bit earlier, we mentioned Origin. I'd love to hear about how it is that you kind of got involved with working with them. I know I think the strategic advisor partner, there's a lot of amazing people that are working there, and that thing is blowing up. I mean, how many employees are there? And it's, US run. You mentioned that. And as far as manufacturing everything from there, what
Yeah.
is your role there? And I mean, obviously you have some background in all this, so you can be able to bring a lot to the table. But what was it about that group of folks that really resonated and you wanted to be a part of it?
No, I mean, I think the Pete and Jocko's American Made story resonated from the beginning, because I was a guy that moved things offshore. And but generally speaking, no, Pete and Jocko and Dedeco, they are the partners. I kind of came in much later. I invested some money, and I'm an advisor to Pete and to Jocko on both. Not as much on Jocko Fuel anymore, but I'm a board member on Jocko Fuel. But I'm an advisor to Pete and Jocko on Origin. And for a while there, it was a little intense, and I was spending a lot of time. I've come back. The team's doing a great job. I haven't been involved as of late as much because the team is really kind of running with it, and to some degree, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not in there day to day, and I might be pointing out things that they already pointed out, or I might be suggesting things that they're already working on. So it becomes a little redundant over time. But yeah, no, it's been close to 4 years and grown like a weed, and it's pretty impactful. And honestly, there's a ton of upside. Like, it's just getting started. It's just getting started. I mean, when I left Under Armour, we were about $5 billion. I'm not making any projections about where Origin will or won't be, but they have a lot of room to grow, and so it's going to be exciting to be a part of it. And right now, I'm just helping where I can and just trying to. I'm tough to work with sometimes. I can just be a little bit much. Um, and honestly, it's not. I don't own the company. It's not mine. And so you got to learn how to like be okay with that, because at Under Armour, yeah, I was an owner. Um, my other brands, I own them. So, there's a balancing act there. So I'm just trying to support, and I think these guys are going to kill it. A lot of cool products coming out for the future. And it's all made in USA with US textiles, which is very unique, very hard.
No, in great quality. I'm actually wearing my Origin pants. I
Awesome.
went a few months ago and I was like, I've been seeing this and reading about it for so long. I need to order some, and phenomenal. And I love the idea of supporting, American made products and American made jobs, manufacturing. It's important. And so yeah, I definitely suggest people go and check that out. And then speaking of other American made, products, you've done some work with Montana Knife Company, right? Are you still on their board? Are you
Yeah,
working with them?
I'm a board. I've been a board member for a long time,
Yeah.
since they kind of Josh asked me to do it, and Bert Soren from Sorenex made the introduction there. And that one, I'm not nearly as involved. I've just been a board member, so we meet 4 times a year, and occasionally they call me offline for some questions here and there. And yeah, we just challenge them, give them feedback, provide some perspective, tell them to look around the corner, make suggestions. Board is a fun position. I like being a board member. Um, I'm not getting compensated. They don't pay me, so I'm doing it out of the respect of what they're doing, and I like it. And they give me some knives, so I'm down with that. pretty pretty freaking amazing company. I
They
mean,
are.
they're like Origin. They have some leadership there that wants to go hard and they want to go big and they want to shake things up. And I think for anybody out there that's like starting an ice cream shop, or I just started a restaurant, or I'm starting a brand, or like, you better ask yourself why you're different. And if that is not easy to explain, it's going to be tough. And I'll be honest, like, that's Big Truck is probably the hardest thing I'm working on right now. My own beer brand, because I have to explain why it's different. And there's just a lot of similarities with beer in a can.
So what would you say if someone's asking you what's different about yours? Why should we support you, or what is it that you kind of sets it?
Locally grown, high quality ingredients. And that is not the norm. That's where we land. And I would say also that we are for outdoors men and women, people that want to hunt, fish, camp, and we give back to that community. And that's what we stand for. And there's just not a lot of craft beers that are willing to come out and say that.
Yeah. Now, are
So,
you still taking your mash and using the local farmers and kind of
yep,
taking that? That's pretty cool too. I
it's
like that idea.
a pig farmer.
Nice. Well, then you can serve that there at the tap room, right? Circles
Some hot
around.
dogs, baby. Some hot dogs. Tastes like beer. Brewing is fun, man. But yeah, you have a byproduct that you got to get rid of. And you can't really feed that to horses or cattle. The pig's stomach can deal with a lot more than most other animals. And they mix it with other things as well. But yeah, full recycle comes off the farm and goes back to the farm. And it's fun to see people in the brewery enjoy themselves. And we have a beautiful view. We have a timber frame building.
Gorgeous.
And, you know, it's a, hopefully you can come up and see it sometimes.
Yeah,
I'd
I'd
like
love
to
to.
have them all over the country. I'd like to actually have franchises of Big Truck tap rooms. So that's something I've played with to try to figure out how to do it. Because
That's a
people, when they come, they have a blast.
That's great, man. No, that's it. I love the idea of expansion and getting that out there. And I very small scale brewed beer of my own, and it's just so much fun to be able to have a hand in the
Uh-oh, are
process
you
all
a
the way.
home brewer?
I was a home brewer. I stopped drinking about 7.5 years ago.
Okay.
And so now, like, but I've thought about, like, can I home brew NAs? Because I do like a good
You
NA. And
can.
that's when you mentioned that that's coming out. That was a question I actually was very curious to ask, because I love a good, I
Oh,
love a good beer at
you
the
can
end of the
do
day.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do it. It's good. It's fun, right? Like, if you want to have a non-alcoholic, but you want the taste of some hops and some grain.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's
no,
at the
it's a
at the
fun
end of the day
category.
at the ranch. That's like a fun thing too, to be able to have that camaraderie. And now more of my friends too. There's something about, they're like, I kind of like going with that idea too, because we're waking up in the early morning to go hog hunt or deer or whatever it is we're going after, and there's no hangover, right? They're like, all right, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's a fun
Oh
camaraderie
yeah,
thing.
you always have those guys in hunting camp that went too far and they're not waking up in the morning.
Yeah, that stand that's real close to the house ends up being like that. The one they're going to go to that one.
Well, most of our hunts in Alaska are remote 10-day hunts. So if you're an alcoholic, it's going to come out in those 10 days.
It's going to
So
hurt. It's not the
yeah,
time to do that.
we've seen it.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah, it's pretty depressing. But no, it's a blast, man. I appreciate you having me on. I mean, all these things are fun to talk about. I think if people are listening, um, podcasts can be really good motivators and they can be really good at perspective, but you got to take something you hear and you got to go try it. You got to go try it. You got to, if you're not trying new things, then you're actually already decided to die. Because humans, the brain, any organism tends to thrive when it's in a challenged state.
Yeah. Do the uncomfortable thing. Put in that hard work that is hard, not just sit around and be soft. There's too much of that these days. I mean, I see people too when they retire, right? You see so many people who go downhill physically because they aren't going and challenging themselves at a job mentally. And it comes back. And I think it's part of being able to persevere and kind of keep going and strong and take forward all that momentum of life is to keep doing those things you're talking about. Do the
I had
uncomfortable thing.
my son has a hairline fracture in his spine, and so he's out for 12 weeks. He's 13 years old, so it's a big setback for his sports career. But it's okay. It's some blessing in the silver lining. Um, so I don't want him sitting around, but he actually can't do anything. Can't run, can't jump, can't twist, can't do anything. He's got to be pretty static, and he wears a brace. So I came up and researched all these hand-eye coordination things we can do sitting, and these wrist strength and these ankle strength with squeezing your toes together. So I'm got him doing this every day, and I'm doing it with him. And we started off and we have tennis balls and ping pong balls, and we're doing these drills, and like the balls are all over the place. Like we suck. And now we're like, what are we, 5 weeks into it? And like we are good. Like we're good. Like we're jamming. Like we have this little drill. We do this left hand, right hand, 1-1-2-2, like crossover throw. It's like, and then we're throwing ping pongs into little holes, and we're getting, man, use your brain. Use your brain. I'm digging it.
That's cool, man.
I'm
That's
digging
cool.
it.
Do you have any videos that you've had of these exercises you shared? Are you going to have like the next, like, the
I
bunch?
could share. I'll share some, but like I downloaded Steph Curry's dribbling drills.
Yeah. Yeah.
I down. I mean, the internet is crazy. You go YouTube and look, and hand-eye coordination, and he comes up, and I'm tossing a baton to him, and he has to catch. So I'm trying to keep him active when he basically can't be active. And I think a lot of people would sit around, and I'm like, no, there's something. There's always something.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of been fun. We started off pretty bad though. I think we lost a dozen ping pongs.
Well, that's great that you're doing that and with him and as far as kind of helping him to fulfill that time and be able to continue to move forward through the injury. I hope he heals fully and soon.
He'll be good.
Well, I wanted to talk to you, and I guess kind of relates to as far as like your children as well, like the idea of legacy and like what does legacy mean to you when you think about that? How is it that you want to be remembered, thought about, personally, professionally at the end of your days? When you look back on this and, you've accomplished a lot of things, done a lot of things, but what is it that sticks out? Or do you even kind of think about the idea of legacy in your day to day?
I don't think about it day to day, but I do think about it on occasion, and I'm pretty thoughtful about it. It's a combination of things. I like to build things, physical structures that are going to outlast the story of Kip. And they're not going to last forever, but they're going to last a while. So I like putting an imprint on the earth that is something that I had. Basically, it's my thumbprint. I look at it that way because my actual thumbprint will never be known. It'll be gone. People will forget who the fuck I am. I'm nothing special. Once you're in a casket, you'll be more important to worms than you will be for anything else. And honestly, people's memories are pretty short. A couple years, 5 years, 10 years, nobody cares. So the physical imprint, but when it comes to like the people that are close to me and the generations after, I just want a few stories about the tenacity that I went after things. That's all I care about. Just a few. They don't need to be 100, and it doesn't need to be a 100-page book, but a few stories that can last about someone who was willing to go get it. That's it. So I do think about it, and it is important to me. And honestly, a lot of times I've made some mistakes, like done some ugly stuff, treated people bad, didn't tell the truth when I should have, and like learned to be a better person. And so it's definitely not. I don't have a blueprint for anybody to follow, but it doesn't really matter. What are you going to do today?
Well,
So
I appreciate you sharing that and your honesty there. And, I think that a lot of things I've seen a lot of interviews and different things you've talked about, and there's a lot of quotes have kind of stood out at me, and I'll include some of those favorites here in the show notes below. But I really appreciate that you're giving back and sharing. Are you still doing the method and mindset class and course?
I might bring it back. I'm not right now, but I might bring it back.
Okay. Cool. Well, and I know that there's different tidbits and there's some things that people can see on the YouTube page for that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot you can still glean from that, even if you aren't taking the course or that's not offered right now. There's a lot of things you can learn from that and some great, information there. And I just want to say thanks again for joining me today and, for sharing all the great stuff you got going, and for those who would like to follow along your journey and learn a little bit more about what you got going, if you wouldn't mind giving your socials for yourself and for your businesses that we talked
Yeah,
about today.
sure. You can follow me at Instagram is my main handle is 13 Pacific Waves. And from there, if you follow there, you can check out everything else. Yeah, I wanted to say thank you. I think you did a great job. I like doing podcasts with people that are thoughtful. And I don't think I've ever had a podcast with anybody with the insanely good Arrowhead collection behind them that you do. So I have some Megalodon teeth and some arrowheads over to my left, and I'm super jealous. And I just want to say props. That is
Dude,
legit.
cheers. Well, Kip, you come down to Texas. I got two ranches, one in Southwest Texas that has some of the best whitetail hunting in Texas, but these are all surface finds. I mean, the majority, I'd say
great.
95% are from that ranch. Just walking
That's
around,
awesome.
picking them up. We got some Clovis over here. It's just incredible. So, the invite's open, man. Anytime you want to come
Thank
on
you.
down.
Thank you. No,
Cheers.
thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Kip, and everyone else. Make sure you check the show notes below for some of the links. And once again, man, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, George.
Take care.